Hey everybody, and good morning. Mr. Smith here. Just wanting to give you a little bit of an update and also get into function. So, things have been weird with our independent learning days, but basically this week you guys should have finished up the conditionals lab from before we got out, done the conditionals review lab. If you came to office hours, I did it with you. Um, and then on Friday, we're still independent learning day, but we need to move on to functions. So I'm about to go through a little bit of the PowerPoint and then go through the functions practice in this video. I'm going to make a follow-up video for next week. Next week we are going to be independent learning on Monday because it is a professional learning day. So I'm going to make a video talking about that functions lab. And then I'm going to make a video talking about lists and then one final video doing a list lab. So you're going to be doing a lot on your own, but you will have these videos to support you through it. All right. So let's get into it. So AP Computer Science Principles, Functions in Python. So guys, basically a function is a piece of code that you can easily use over and over again. I think one of the biggest examples of this is like in math when you calculate area. You always calculate area, let's say, of a rectangle, length times width, the same way every time. You multiply the length times the width. So you can create a function that will do that for you instead of you having to write the code every time. All right, they allow a series of statements once and then call on that code. So you just keep calling it to use it. I'm gonna turn off my camera real quick so you can see all of this. Um, This allows a programmer not to have to type the same code, so it's basically saving on code reuse. All right, so how we define a function is we use the keyword def. And then we actually give it a name. All functions must be defined at the top of the program. All right, so you're going to have your imports, and then after your imports, you're going to have your functions. Um, when you think of a function in Python, think of it similarly as in math, right? So in math, we have f of x is equal to x plus 5, where what we plug in is x. All right, so it works the same way. We would do def to define our function, def f of x, and then we're going to return x plus 5. The f is the name of the function, the x is what's called a parameter. All right, so if you ask to find f of 3, 3 would be x here. 3 gets passed in. 3 plus 5 we return, and the answer is 8. All right. By Python convention, all functions use lowercase letters. All right. If you have multiple words, you separate them through an underscore. Remember, white space is very important, so you got to use an underscore. So, for example, defining the function other example, you would do other underscore example. Notice it's all lowercase. All right, so what is printed when you do the following call? We pass in a 3. 3 goes in, 3 plus 8, or 3 plus 5 is 8. Pass in a 10. 10 plus 5 is 15. Pass in 5.5. 5.5 plus 5 is 10.5. All right. Every line indented after the colon of the function is part of the function. So just like when we did conditions, you said if and some condition, and then we indented everything that was inside of that. So the scope is indicated by the indentation after the colon. All right, so here we're defining a function f, x, y, and z are its parameters. Then the stuff that's indented over here, this stuff right here is the actual what's part of the function. So we are taking x plus y plus z and then dividing by 3. So if we have that function, we pass in 3, 4, 5. So 3 plus 4 plus 5, so that's 9, 10, 11, 12 divided by 3. This will print 4. All right, then we go 10, 20, and 4.5, so that's 34.5 divided by 3. I can't do that quick math in my head, but 11.5. 17, 5, 22. 22 divided by 3 is 7 point something. There you go. All right, so that's how a function works. You can also have a function with no parameters. So it'll have no parameters and it'll just do something or return something. All right, the return statement is optional. You do not have to have the return. So it could just do something and not return any information. All right, so here are some examples. I'm going to let you all go through these in your. I'm going to let you go through the examples on your own in the PowerPoint because I want to get to the practice and kind of go through a couple of those with y'all. All right, so when variables are created, they have a specific scope. I used that word a minute ago. Scope refers to like where it can be accessed within the code. All right, so if I create a global variable, it can be accessed anywhere in the code. If I do a local variable, it's only in certain parts of the code, all right? And that's called scope. Scope refers to what part of the program exactly. So if you define a variable outside of a function, it has a global scope. So if we made a variable, somewhere outside of our function, it can be used anywhere in our code. However, if a variable is created in a function, then it can only be used in that function locally. All right, so let's say we have print numbers x, y, z here, so it should print x, y, and z. So x is equal to 3, y equals 4, z equals 5. Print numbers will print 3, 4, 5. But then here, we change the values, right? X becomes x plus 2, so x is now 5. So because we changed the values, sorry about that, it's going to change when we call print numbers again. So these are globally, right? So x, y, and z are global because they're outside of the function. If we change them and then call the function, it changes. All right, global variables can also be defined above your function definition, so they can go after the import and above the functions. If you define a variable inside of a function, it is a local scope. So here's an example, right? We have print numbers now, x, y, and z are 3, 4, 5. We print x, y, and z. It will print 3, 4, 5. Here, we manipulate it, but because x, y, and z are inside this function, it's always going to be 3, 4, 5. Okay? This will actually cause an error because it's not defined globally. All right, so that's pretty much it for the notes. All right, so I do want you to watch this video. I want you to look through the PowerPoint and really kind of, think about functions, get a better understanding of it. And then once you've done that, I want you to move into this functions practice right here. So this is already live for y'all. It's due Friday, October. I left September in there, but Friday, October 11th is when this is due. And I want you to work through it. It's just a fillable Word document, so I'm going to pull it up actually. So this is formative number 5 called functions. All right, so let me pull it up so you can see the whole question. All right, so number 1, to convert from miles to kilometers, you can multiply the number of miles you have by 1.609 for any approximate conversion. Which of the following functions would do that? So you're trying to write a function called miles to kilo, and you're passing in the miles. So you're looking for the one that is going to multiply your miles. So, if I'm highlighting the important stuff here, I'm multiplying my miles times the 1.609. So if I look at the first one, it's taking kilo and multiplying kilo. Again, we want to take our miles and multiply it. So if I look at B, it's taking kilo and multiplying it. Doesn't seem right. C, though, is taking miles and multiplying it. I kind of like that. Oh, and D is taking miles and multiplying it. So it's between C or D. But the only difference here is what is being returned. So here we're returning kilo, here we're returning miles. So we're passing in miles, so we want to get out kilo. So the correct answer is C, because it actually does what we want, right? We want to pass in miles. We want to do miles times that conversion number, 1.609, and we want to get kilo out of it. So this would be, C would be the right answer here. All right, let's look at a couple more. I am going to ask y'all to do this on your own, but let's look at a couple more. All right, consider the following code. We create a definition of a function called first fun, and we return x plus 5. So whatever x we pass in, we're just going to add 5 to it and return it. Second fun, we're going to pass in an x. We're going to subtract 5 from it and return. And third fun, we're going to multiply by 5. All right, so on this one, x is 4. All right, x is 4. So print third fun. So third fun here. I'm going to color these. Third fun here is green. It goes to third fun here, which is green. So green and green. 4 gets passed in. 4 times 5 is 20. So it's going to print 20. So this is actually... Oh, wait. Not there, though. My bad, guys. So, this value here... Remember in Python, our comment is hashtag. So if we're keeping track here, that's going to print 20. All right. Now it just wants us to print x. All right. So this is testing that global versus local. In here is local. In here is local. In here is local. This is global. Okay. So this x equals 4 means that it's global. So that means that it's on this level. So when we say print x here, it's actually just going to print what x is globally. So this should actually be 4, if that makes sense. Okay. All right, so print second fun. So x is 4. So we're passing 4 up into second fun. So here. So what color should I use here? So let's use another color. So second fund is going to be, let's go red. Second fund is red. Second fund here is red. Just keeping track of stuff. So 4 gets passed in. We have 4 minus 5. And we're going to return 4 minus 5. So what is 4 minus 5? I'm sure you're over there saying to yourself, Smith, it's -1. All right. So that'll be -1. So here again, right, this is still, I'm going dark orange. This is still just the global. So it's going to print 4 again. Because it is just the global variable. So we're going to print that as 4. All right, and then finally we call first run. We're passing in 4. So I'll keep with my, we'll make it purple this time. So we're passing in 4. We got purple again. So 4 plus 5 here is actually, I do believe that is 9, correct? That is 9? Yeah. So let's look at our answer choices. So we traced this out. We got 20, we got 4, we got -1, 4, and 9. So that looks like it is actually A is our right answer here. So A is the right answer. All right. So I hope y'all are starting to get this function stuff. All right. So here we're defining a function called numberFacts, and we're passing in a parameter x. Now here's that condition stuff that we did. All right. We just got done doing this, practicing this. So we've got 3 conditions. If x is greater than 0, x is equal to 0, or anything else. So, okay, I'm understanding that. Then we got another function, right? Every time you see def, it's a whole nother function. So def determine x. So if x mod 2, okay, so has a remainder of 0. So mod gives you remainder, right? We take a number x, divide it by 2, and whatever the remainder is. All right, so this is just checking for even and odd. That's what the E and the O are. All right, so what will be printed if the following code is run under the function definitions? So if I call number facts 10, so we're passing in, like if we track this, guys, and this is just what I do. Like I go here and I type in the stuff. So I'm gonna actually I don't know. Let's go green. So 10, right? We're passing in a 10. So I'm gonna bold that. Is 10 greater than 0? Yeah, 10 is greater than 0, so we're going to do this, which now means that none of this right here matters, because once you do one condition, you ignore the rest of them. So our if is going to evaluate, elif and else aren't going to do anything. All right, so that means we're going to print a plus. Okay, so we're going to print a plus, and then we're going to pass 10. We're going to pass 10 into determine. So this will happen. And that is here, right? Determines down here. It's our other function. So far, we're going to print a plus. Where can I keep track of that? How about, here, I'll do this. Let's do this. We know that we printed a plus. Printed a plus so far. Keeping track of what we have done. Okay, so now we're passing the 10 into determine. So 10 mod 2 is equal to 0. So if I do 10, so this is really 10. This is really 10, right? Because we're passing it in. So 10 mod 2, 10 divided by 2 is 5 with a remainder of 0. So this is true right here. So that means we're going to do that, and we're going to ignore this. So it means we're going to print an E. So we're going to go over here, and we're going to say that we're going to print E. Beautiful. Okay, so far we have plus an E. Plus an E, so that means that this answer choice is, it can't be that one, and it can't be B or C. All right, so it can only be A or D. So we're in a good spot here. All right, so we need to do the same thing. You need to do the same thing with -5 now. So I want you to track it, and I'm not going to tell you the answer on this one, but I want you to track it with -5. Pass in -5, figure out if you get A or D. All right. All right. Write a function called calculation that will print off the sum and product of two past numbers. All right. So this isn't very hard. So how do we define a function? Well, DEF, right? And then it wants us to name it calculation. And we're going to pass in A and B. All right, so I'm using A and B. It just says pass in two numbers. All right, these are parameter variables, so they're just a representation. So they could represent anything, A, B. I could do X, Y, whatever you wanted. I could do Bob and Jill. I could do Michael and Jeff. You know, it don't matter. But A and B is pretty simple. All right, so we've defined our function. Now I'm going to tab over, and it wants us to print off the sum and print off the product. So print A plus B. So that's it. And then print A, and then product means multiplication, A times B. And that is it for that one. That one's pretty simple, not that hard. We're just defining a function and printing out the sum and the product. Okay, so here, write a function called divisible that will return true if a value is passed. So I'm just going to do some comments, guys, because you're going to do the rest. So define function called visible and pass in a parameter, you know. And then basically you need to check if it's divisible by 3. So, you know, in here you're going to have like if variable modulus 3 is equal to a 0, and then you're gonna have then you're gonna return true. Now this doesn't work. Like what I'm typing, this is just some like commented code for y'all, just to kind of, if you get stuck, look at. But this isn't the actual real code. So, but yeah, something like that. All right, that's kind of have to be kind of where you're headed with that. Um, so return a function called maximum that returns the maximum value between three numbers. Write four functions that return the area of the square. Right. So I'm going to let y'all work on this. We did a lot of this together, but I do want you to try. Okay. So really, 5 gave you a little help. 6 and 7, and 8, I want you to work on by yourself. So if you have any issues, guys, please make your way over on Friday. Friday, it looks like my office hours are from 12 p.m. to 2:30. So if you want to stop on in Friday to kind of finish this up, I will be there to help you out. All right, guys, appreciate it. Thanks. Stay safe. Let me know if you need anything.